weld, you're heating that steel all up, it's expanding, you're slapping a cold piece of steel to it, and it's causing that, as it cools and everything, it causes it to expand and bend. And what I have, the trap's nice, this door is nice and flat to the trap all the way around, except for when we get to this section right here, it comes out, and you see where I made this mark, it's just below where the bend starts, and it starts opening up. Come around your corner, and you see that spot right there on the steel, my mark's right there. That's where that big box was that I cut off, and with all the heat and everything, that's why that expanded and it bent. And what you're supposed to do is, after you weld, you make a bead or whatever, you're supposed to cool that bead down using water. And when I made my utility rack over here, when I built that, my construction rack, that's what I did. Everything was cooled down so it didn't bend much. But even here, if you look at here, there's a classic example once again. If I can get it on the film, that rail looks bent. It comes up in the front just the slightest little bit. And that's from all the little cross pieces underneath. Welding that tweaks the steel. So what I'm going to do is right about where the line is, I'm going to cut there, and I'm going to cut over in here on the back side of the front side. I'm just going to bend it, I'm going to straighten it out, beat it up, fix that problem, and this way we don't have any problems with our hinge and our door binding. Except this part isn't really going to be hinges, we're just going to drop it down over. So let me get that done. I'm going to weld the hinges, and then we'll get to work on the trick door. Alright guys, I'm probably just being foolish here, but this is what I'm going to try to use as my poor man's patent, just in case this trick door of mine floods the market. I don't mind if somebody builds this and uses it for their own use, but if somebody decides they're going to build it and start making money off of it, hey, all I ask, just give me a call, give me some royalties, that's all I ask. So you guys recognize this frame from previous video, hog trap from security cage, and part 8, and you recognize this frame as the part I was working on. I'm now going to shut the camera off, and I'm going to draw in the trick door part that I plan on building for this, and I don't believe there's anything like it on the market at this point right now. So let me draw that for y'all, and I'll get back to you in a minute. Alright guys, here's a scenario. You're inside the trap, right here at the camera where you're sitting right now. You're looking out towards the gate where you just came in. Okay. Picture that as an old-fashioned train coming at you on the tracks, and that red part, the gate there, that's the scoop on the train. That's kind of the shape it's going to be in. And what's going to happen is I've drawn the green in to kind of give you an idea where the ground level's at, and that trap is going to be set up, that trick door, so when the hogs come in through it, that'll be about hog wide at the top and hog tall for a large hog, and it'll be about head deep, 16 to 18 inches deep roughly, you know, give or take. So there'll be a stop at the bottom of it so the hogs can't get their nose underneath, and it's not going to be really flat gates because they have to fit the front of the gate and then kick out, so they're kind of going to be oddball shape. So that's the basic design. And I'm doing this Sunday morning because it's kind of rather cold out, and I'm doing this before I go outside and start welding. And this is the plan, and that's what I'm going to stick to. So see what we come up with, and I think this is going to be a really good design. It's nothing that I haven't seen on the market yet. So see what happens, and let's go out and get some welding done. Alright guys, I'm back to using my plastic, find my angles. I'm going to put it up in here. I'm making a frame and go all the way in and around, and then later I'm going to cut this frame. I'm going to turn it into 2 doors. So I got my angle here. These angles are a little bit different from side to side, so I'm just kind of going to use it in between, and this will give me my outside angle on my frame, and I can check it later on. I just have to figure my angle for where they meet, which of course is half what this angle is. Alright guys, I'm using 1x1 frame for the inside of this. That was not supplied by our steel from the old security cages from the Coke machine. So I'm supplying a 1x steel. It's one of the very few things in the hinges that I'm having to supply other than labor and parts. You see what I'm doing here with the frame? I'm building the frame right inside of this one, and this way it's all in place and it's exact all the way around. So now I got to come in here and weld my spot welds right here, and then we'll work with it from there. So that's what I have right now. I got to get these welded up. Alright, I got this all welded up, or not welded up, but I got the tack welds done, so you can see the shape we're dealing with here. And I'll have to cut this later on. Now I got to do the rest of my welds to get it all finished up, put together. Alright guys, now I got to figure, I got my door on, my trap sitting in place. I need to figure my angle. I need to stop at a 45-degree angle. You can see it here, going inside this trap, because we're going to have doors opening to the inside. Think about the picture I showed. And I'm finding my angle right now, not for there, but for actually back in this corner. I need to know what I'm going to cut for an angle back in here. So I'm going to use this, and then I'll transfer this angle onto the end of my other piece of angle. And we're using this thick steel angle iron that originally came off the trap from in between here when we cut both sides apart, and then we brought them together. So that's where that piece of steel came from, and we're going to now transfer it and make like a, it's going to be the door stop at the bottom so they can't push them and bend them. There's one door frame, and the bottom V is still just tack welded. You can kind of see how it's going to open, and then it should fall right back in place after the hinges are on. Right now I don't have the hinges on. Well, that's the idea. We'll push in, and it'll just slam right back in place. Just like that. Pretty cool idea if I do say so myself. Alright guys, through the door frame. They come towards us. Got it on backwards right now just so you guys can see how this works. And I'm going to run around and come through like I'm a pig, but normally that'd be turning around going into the trap. Works pretty good. Just got to get all the wire and stuff in it. That's about 2 days of work right there. That was a real pain in the butt. Back with you later on. Made a cross member here. Put a cross like this. And there's a lot of really wacky cuts on it. So what I've done is I take 2 pieces of steel, overlap it, and I match this cut, but I make it opposite. Come down in here, make it cut this way, roll your steel over, come to the other side, and make that cut. Then all you have to do is just turn it over and make your marks here. And now I have my pattern all the way around with the white to make my next piece, my next cut. There's a compound miter cut, and most of your steel cutting blades or saws, most of your steel cutting saws won't cut a compound miter, so you kind of have to hold it and figure your angle. So that's the best way I know to get 2 identical pieces. Cross members are on. Things starting to look mean. Works good too. I always got to keep checking it. On the lower left hinge, my brace sticks out a little bit too far, so I can't put my hinge pin in from the top like it should. So when I'm finished with all this, I'll have to tack weld that pin in place to make sure movement doesn't drop it out. Be another weak spot. So every time you do some welding, especially on doors and stuff like this, heat bend steel, make sure they keep working smooth, and these are still working smoothly. I took the time to cool the welds afterwards, and it kept the frame from tweaking. Beautiful. Trap's starting to look evil.